They go back to that Hard Knock scene with John Mara in the office about, I'm not going to sleep well if Saquon Barkley goes to the Eagles and blah. And people just continue to mock it. And the more I've thought about, like, number one, can we get over it already? I mean, he went to Philadelphia. He had one of the greatest seasons a running back has ever had. And, oh, by the way, he had a great postseason. And, oh, by the way, won a Super Bowl and then gets the contract. Like, what is so wrong with an owner being, as John Mara was, invested in a player, really enjoyed the player, liked the player as a human being, and genuinely wanted him to be here? And it's really something, too, because like a sheep, I watched the video several times. And there's so many things that stand out, like, Joe Schoen sitting there talking about the Bears are driving up the price and the Eagles are out. And you're just looking at John Mara and you feel like he wants to, and I feel like he almost gets a bad rap. I feel like John Mara was sitting there wanting to say, keep him, but also knows the cameras are on. And if I do that, now I'm meddling. Like, what is wrong with the owner that is actually into his team and his players?
So you think when people post this, they're criticizing John Mara, not Joe Schoen?
I think all of it, but I think John Mara has taken a lot of slings and arrows. I really do, over the last year or so. I think he's been made fun of because of that scene.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I never saw it that way. I just think that they play that scene because it's like Joe Schoen is in there telling the owner, no, we're not going to keep this guy that's going to drive you nuts on the Philadelphia Eagles. Because it's the specifics of, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. It's one of the Eagles. It's that specific saying the Eagles. And it's like, that's what makes it so amazing. And I really thought that it's just the criticism of Joe Schoen and the Giants. I don't feel like John Mara gets crushed for that. If anything, he comes out of that thing looking better because he looks like the one guy that wants to keep him. But the thing that struck me with all of this is the fact that this, it never ends.
Well, exactly.
It never ends.
And as long as he continues doing what he did with the Eagles, if he has another big season again next year, it's not going to end.
Yeah.
And if the Giants continue to just be pedestrian or poor or just a lousy football team, the only way this ends is when the Giants become a good football team again. And what's really difficult about that is you're staring up at the Super Bowl champions that have a tremendous offensive line. I don't think it's changing anytime soon. And you're staring up at Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Forget the Cowboys. Like, you've got two teams in your division that feel like they are light years ahead of where you are. And so with Barkley in Philly, and I think the Eagles are going to continue to be a really good football team, and I don't think he's going to slow down anytime soon. Maybe he will. A lot of wear and tear on the legs. It will always be a talking point. And, on one hand, I am so with you and so many guys at this radio station. It's like it's enough with these announcers.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, as someone that calls games, it is a storyline. It has to be.
Well, it was last year, but it's now continued into this offseason. And C-Mac played, I don't know if Fleegs is back, and he was the one who pulled it for him. But it was Joe Schoen at the Combine, and I didn't realize the way it went because I'd only heard the cut of Joe Schoen talking about Saquon. But they played the beginning of the press conference where he gets up to the podium, and this is the Combine now. The next year, slate clean, everything else. And he gets up to the podium and goes, hey, guys, how's it going? Good to see you guys. I haven't seen you in a while. Right off the bat, do you have any regrets about not signing Saquon? It was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, well, that's the national media, number one. Number two, it's the first time they've seen him since Saquon Barkley just completed a historic season and a Super Bowl championship.
Right, and then you see this contract, and bang, there it is again. All this stuff is happening again. It actually makes me think, and I don't know if John Mara has shut this stuff off. It's got to be hard for him. But and remember, he retained Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll before the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
I know that.
All right, so now you have all of that, and then this contract, and it just shows me that these guys, unless now they trade up and get Cam Ward or select Shedeur Sanders, and that guy looks like the future in a big way, they are shot. They are cooked. He has had enough, and this regime is now turned into a joke because of this, fair or not. And that's why they went so hard after Matt Stafford, because they really thought that Matthew Stafford would come in and they could be a playoff team and win a bunch of games. And they obviously don't really believe in these two quarterbacks at the top of the draft. But this is why I don't think you can bring in Aaron Rodgers, because if it goes well, it goes well. But if it doesn't, and it's Aaron Rodgers, it feels worse, as we have seen with the Jets. So if they are hanging by a thread and they bring in Aaron Rodgers and he gets hurt again, he has controversies again, all these things that we saw with the Jets, and that blows up in their face, they are finished.